Hello YouTube. I thought I'd bring you this afternoon. It's not a pleasant upload. I'll come back with something funny later on. But this whole thing that's happening in the Gaza, it's been a sort of bugbear of mine for most of my life. Like most of us, if you look back on your DNA and your family tree, you can see a lot of us descend from the Jewish people. We do. Especially if they've come over here like some of mine did to get away from persecution in the 18th century and 19th century, and were welcomed with open arms by Britain, without whom I wouldn't be stood standing here enunciating, would I, and holding forth. The picture here, I could just run it through a bit. I studied this all of my life, obviously, because like a lot of us, I was born in the aftermath of this hoo-ha. You see, these are pictures of the Warsaw Ghetto. I've had to go through it and sort of try and make sure they're not too horrific. This one's particularly poignant. A couple of little kiddies there, sat there. You see how thin they are. There's far worse pictures of this, I can assure you. Far, far worse. And I don't understand what has led this great nation into treating the Palestinians the way they do. I've got to say it. I've got to say it. I'm not on anybody's side in this. It's terrible. You've got to remember that Zionism is a political theory, isn't it? Not all Jews are Zionists. There's many Christians that are Zionists, you know. Usually the fundamentalist types. What's going on in Gaza now is they are going to besiege Gaza. They've stopped their water, their gas, they've stopped people coming in and out, so they've got no food, they've cut off their electric. And how many millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people, live in that area? I mean, children are in there, being besieged by the Israeli army. Now, I'm not saying what Hamas did, but Hamas don't really represent the people that live in the Gaza or the West Bank. They don't represent everybody. When you go around the world, you find that most normal, everyday people just want to get on with their life. You know, some of the nicest, friendliest people in the world live in the Gaza and the West Bank, actually. I happen to know this for a fact. But there's also many nice people that live in Israel. And don't you think that, I'm sure you agree, that countries are far more than their leadership, whether it's Hamas or ISIS or even Netanyahu, whatever his bleeding name is. It's an absolute tragedy that nothing can be learned from this sort of thing, and that a great nation could actually do to somebody else or do to another ethnicity what in fact was done to their forebears. It's just heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And I remember in 2014, of course, they've got far better weapons nowadays, haven't they? I mean, I'm not saying that, but from their point of view, they were using washed up uranium on the Gaza in 2014. I remember it. And basically, you know, they were vaporized. Just a pair of child's shoes were left on the street, and the rest was just gone. So, what are we looking at here? Because there seems to be a hell of a lot of hoo-ha going on, and it's not good. And of course, the main thing you know is that Iran's bound to be behind it, aren't they? You know Iran, they seem to back people like Hamas, don't they? And all the time, we've got people like Wishy-Washy. And you've got that bleed, what's his name, in America, who doesn't know his left from his right, does he? You don't know his arse from his elbow. Yes, as we used to say when I was a kid. And still do say now. And they're not the best people for the job. This serious stuff that's going on, and it sort of transcends all the protesting in the street. You've got the Palestinians out screaming at the Israelis. I've seen in Australia that the police actually arrested Israeli protesters and facilitated the Palestinian protest. I mean, this isn't a time for taking sides either way. It's possibly a time for everybody to sort of say, you just got to stop, man, you got to stop. You guys have got to get your heads together. You're a great nation, and the Palestinians are a great nation as well. They're all lovely people, I'm sure of it. Brought down by as usual, the toxic few. It's ever the same story throughout history, isn't it? Only a few people. What is it they say? One bad apple. But at the end of it, at the very end of it, is innocent children, innocent kids. I did hear some data. I think it's one of the talking heads on my YouTube said that 50% or is it 51% of the people that live in Gaza are under 19 years old. You see, and now they're being besieged in a way that is far more toxic than when the medieval people used to besiege one another, didn't they? They were always besieging Seville or besieging Rome or besieging somewhere, weren't they? They used to do a lot of besieging, you know. Yes, it was kind of their thing. But we don't live in those days, we live now. And on one hand, we should know damn better. And on the other hand, they got far worse weapons to use on these poor people. Oh, dearie, dearie me, what a sad bleeding world. I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say, but it's about time. You got the church waffling on about diversity. What is it? You got the Pope come out the other day and said something about, just stop oil, or they're a good cause, or something or other. When they're in charge of people's souls, not their politics. Isn't it about time if they could come out and talk about just stop oil? They should come out, one and all, and speak up against what's going on in the Gaza. Everybody needs to stop and take a deep breath. Was it Winston Churchill that always said that it's jaw is far better than war? So I'll leave that with you.